Hello and welcome to the Tifo Football Podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Colin MIllar.
Hello, Joe Devine.
How's it going? You okay?
I'm very well. How are you?
Do you like it when I say your name like that?
I like it for the effect. I don't like it for for the accuracy, so it sort of balances off.
It balances out to neutral. Great. Well, speaking of neutral, it's Jon Mackenzie. He's a neutral now because of news. Because of the news. Now you'll find out later, or very shortly, why Jon's now a neutral. Also, Kaya's here.
I think I'm fine.
Yeah, I think maybe you're okay.
Yeah.
The reason you think that is because we don't yet know. And again, we'll come on to explain that. Also, Steve Hankey is here.
Hello.
He also thinks he's fine, but we all know he's not fine, regardless of what happens tonight. He's upset. Stick around for Steve Hankey spoke for the longest he's ever spoken in the Tifo Football Podcast before.
He was vexed.
He was actually vexed in real life. Could you describe in one word, Steve, and just to be clear, one word, how you were feeling during that moment?
Baffled.
Baffled. There it is. There it is. Okay, now, what did we talk about on today's show? Before I get there, let me tell you something else. That is, discuss our shit recording slot, but why things are changing next week onwards. Yes, thank you, Steve. Now, let me tell you, we are recording this. Well, we started at 2 p.m. It's now 3:30 on a Wednesday. So it's before Arsenal have played Sporting. It's before Bayern have played Real Madrid. Why are you recording it at this time and then releasing it after those games, you ask? I don't know. Because A, we're stupid. B, this room is a busy room. And I think the Athletic FC have recorded in here, Totally have recorded in here. So there's a sort of schedule clusterfuck, I think they call it. And C, because, I don't know, other bad reasons. This is incidentally one of the reasons why whilst we've taken the opportunity to expand the number of shows we're doing per week, so we've expanded now to 4. We are also going to move our recording sessions for the show later in the week, this one, to a Thursday permanently from next week, so that these things don't happen anymore. Because as discussed beforehand, if Arsenal were somehow to lose tonight and not progress through the Champions League, just as a hypothetical, then it's sort of insane that we're going to spend the whole next hour of the show talking about not that.
I'm fine with it, personally.
Well, this is why you think you're fine, because you don't yet know whether or not that's occurred.
Yeah.
Anyway, so to cut a long and boring story short, from next week we'll be recording on Thursdays and maybe releasing Thursday PM or maybe Friday morning. Not completely sure yet. But hopefully we shouldn't be caught out by any more Champions League games going forward. Anyway, that's to explain why we're talking about what we are in today's episode, which is the following. Firstly, now right, Steve, I made the wrong decision in which Champions League quarterfinal to watch. It was the Liverpool. It was the it was the liver game. And my pancreas wasn't having it. It was the Liverpool game, but I'm totally over it, honestly. Right, Steve, I'm not over it. Once I get that out of my system, we discuss the incredible second leg between Atletico Madrid and Barcelona, which saw Diego Simeone's side make it to the semi-finals. Very exciting. Has nary never changed under Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid? And why do they haunt my nightmares and the nightmares of my dead father? We discussed that as well, didn't we, Steve? We have a milk and fairy dust conversation. Did I really say milk and fairy dust?
Yeah, I thought it was weird at the time.
That's not a saying, is
Consistency-wise, it'd be weird, odd.
Quite chalky.
That sounds like a great cereal, though, doesn't it? Milk and fairy.
Like Angel
fairy
Delight. Do you remember Angel Delight?
Fairy dust is definitely like an American cereal.
You can still buy Angel Delight as well.
Can you?
Yeah, blancmange.
So. What's Angel Delight?
It's a form of blancmange.
Have you never had Angel Delight?
Is this a film I've not seen, or
let me just get the Wikipedia page.
I don't know Angel Delight. Sorry.
A Wikipedia page doesn't have Angel. Okay, here's what the Google AI overview says Angel Delight is. And it turns out it's a British thing. So actually our international listeners won't know. I didn't realise that. Angel Delight is a British powdered dessert mix. First launched in 1967 by Birds. No, and that's the company Birds, Kaya. That's not the ornithological creature.
Okay.
Designed to be whisked with milk into a mousse-like texture, now owned by Premier Foods. It's famous for its strawberry, butterscotch, and chocolate flavours, and was named Britain's favourite childhood dish in 2015. Now, that can't be true. Which children responded to that poll?
It feels very 90s Angel Delight, doesn't it? I
think
remember
that might just be because that's when we ate Angel Delight.
Probably.
So you mix it with the milk and then that makes
You just whisk
like
it,
a milkshake kind of
and
thing.
it's more of a mousse. More of a
And
mousse.
it's blancmange.
So it goes
What-
thick.
What's blancmange?
Yeah, it's thick. Yeah,
It's-
yeah.
Blancmange is just like moussey shit.
Okay, I mean that sounds good, but it turns liquidy milk into a thick strawberry
Belmont
flavoured.
is a historic town in
Fluffy.
Portugal known as the birthplace of Pedro Alvarez Cabral. There you go.
Wait, what?
It's because of blancmange. I tried to type in blancmange,
It's
but
blancmange.
it autocorrected to Belmont.
Blancmange.
Blancmange is a sweet molded cold dessert typically made by simmering milk or cream, sugar, and almond extract with a thicker like corn flour or gelatin. Yeah? Does that answer it to you, for you, Kyle?
Not slightly.
Anyway, there we go. We talked about Angel Delight just now, so that's something that happened on the show. After that, we play a rondo. Now, will Jack Pitbrook, who became Rondo Del Rey on last episode, will he keep his keenly fought for title? Well, you'll have to stick around to find out. Post-rondo, we pour one out for Andoni Iraola's time at AFC Bournemouth as it draws to an end. Plus, we allow John to wax lyrical on why he finds Iraola's coaching so fascinating. One for you tactico sickos out there, right, Steve? Although, John, I thought you did a good job of making that an interesting section for normal people
I
as
didn't
well.
talk about the tactics much at all. But everyone
You
knows
didn't.
the tactics at this point, right?
Yeah, everyone knows. You don't need to go
everyone
over them
knows.
again.
Did you think I didn't do a good enough job of the tactics, Steve?
You mentioned hybrid pressing, and that's why Steve wrote tactics.
right, okay.
I think you just said the words hybrid pressing, and he went, "This is for tactical sickos." And then we end with a warm thought about the changing landscape of the media landscape. Lovely.
Do you know one of my
sentence work.
golden rules as well in script writing is no repetition? And
Yeah,
I've
that's not your golden
completely-
rule, Steve. That's a golden rule that is
Completely
followed by
screwed it.
everyone.
I mean, if the
Yeah.
media landscape changes, it is changing landscape. So
That's true. Yeah. What could we change that for? It's the changing landscape of the media
context.
context. That sounds much worse.
The changing makeup of the media landscape.
Anyway, it's much more interesting than Steve made it sound. Within that conversation, we discuss a pretty fundamental change to the game that I am in favour of to get some time back in my life. Yes, I'm still thinking about Liverpool PSG. Thank you, Steve. And that was the show. You should actually stick around for that very, very final bit because what I asked for... Well, no, tell you what. I want to hear in the comments from people about that. I won't precursor it now. If you don't want to listen to the whole thing, much like I don't want to watch the whole football game, then skip to the end to get to that bit to tell me what you think. On Friday, also, John and I will be recording our audio exclusive Ring for Analysis. We don't know what it's about yet. We haven't picked it.
We haven't, no.
We've got to do that.
Yes,
we have to do that today.
Yeah, we do.
We do, yeah. And our next live stream is on Sunday, post Man City Arsenal as well. We're joined by John. Kaya offered his services for that one as well because the game's in Manchester, so he won't be attending. I said, "Are you sure? Because we don't want you to cry in the office again."
Can't promise that.
He's
yeah.
coming. He's coming. Perhaps potentially a teary Kaya will be here, and we'll be joined by producers Nathan and James as well. And then on Tuesday, we're back in the studio with Steve. We've got Ruben Pinder, JJ Bull, and Seb Stafford-Bloor, who I think he's joining us remotely, isn't he?
Yeah, based on the schedule, yeah.
Very exciting. How about that? Okay. Feels
Is
like
that
this is-
section for the listener, or is it just so that you can get your head around the next few weeks?
I'm just
of the
reading what
schedule?
Steve's written for me.
So Steve can get his head around the schedule.
Yeah, I've accidentally put the planning doc into the script. So, yeah.
There we go. Well, that's it. Now you can simply listen to the show that we already recorded before. And again, as a reminder, we don't know what happens later, but I'm sure that Leeds definitely won't beat Man United, so it's fine. Well, where else to begin, of course, than with the only place we can begin as we sit here. Now, it's the first two Champions League quarterfinal second legs. I refer, of course, to Atletico Barca and to PSG Liverpool. We record, as I said in the intro, in the midst of the Champions League quarterfinal second leg. So whilst you will know, listening, by now who will make up the final four of this year's competition, for us, right, Steve, we can only ponder and predict who PSG and Atletico Madrid will face in the semi-finals, out of Bayern or Real for PSG and Arsenal or Sporting for Atletico. That's it. Although, if doing predictions is anything like it was on Monday's show, we might not want to predict. Are Leeds involved in any of these games, John?
Fortunately, no Leeds in the Champions League. So
Fortunately, they're not involved in either of these games, so there simply couldn't be an upset here, could there? I watched the wrong game. That's where we'll start. I sat down last night, and here was my thought process. Okay, Initially I thought, well, I should watch Atletico Barcelona. Obviously, that's the more interesting of the games. That's the one that I've seen all the preview content for. That's the one that's been built up over time. That's the storied affair, the surprising first turn, and that's the obvious place to start, right? But then I sat down and I was already on Amazon Prime. I'd been watching something else and I said, that was PSG Liverpool. I was like, maybe I should watch PSG Liverpool. Maybe the other guys will have watched Atletico Barca. And what if Liverpool score 2 or 3 goals and come back and win it? Or maybe PSG will be really good and I could watch that. Somehow I turned myself around and convinced myself to watch that one. And then once it had started, even though it became apparent to me through the text messages I received from some of you, the Twitter that I was reading, even the highlights that were being ported on to the game I was watching, where I was, that's a nice Lamine Yamal goal. It sounds like there's been a red card. What? That's it. I'll just watch almost for the entire game a dreaded 0-0. But of course, as discussed on this podcast recently, once you've made that decision, you can't swap. You can't swap until the very death of the game. Colin, you picked the correct game. You watched Atletico Barca. Let's start there. Steve has written, "What a second leg," as though to rub it in.
Imagine missing that, Joe.
As discussed, I did miss it, and honestly, I switched over for the last 4 minutes just in time to hear the commentators say, "We've run out of superlatives to describe this game." So it sounds like it was a good one.
Oh, Joe, I'll never forget where I was the night of Atletico Madrid, Barcelona. No, this game was a lot of fun. It was really, really good. Obviously, it was conditioned by that first leg when Atletico won 2-0 away from home, which was conditioned in itself by the Paul Cubarsí red card in the first half. So going into this, you kind of thought Atletico have that advantage, but Barcelona have a lot more star quality. They've got the capability of coming back into the game, and that's exactly what happened. So within 23 minutes, Barcelona were 2-0 up and the advantage was gone. This game started with Barcelona essentially deploying that, obviously the high line that they have, which again conditions everything that they do, allows them to press high and with a lot of energy and to force the opposition into mistakes. I don't want to highlight individuals too much, but Atletico Madrid were missing David Hanchko, their central defender for this, and Clement Lenglet came in, who I think is a real weak link in that team. He was at fault for Barcelona's first goal. Again, it was the pressing that led to Lamine Yamal's 1-on-1 that he slotted in. He was also at fault for what should have been Barcelona's third goal, which was a minute after their second. Now, what happened here was Lenglet, again, forced into an error. Lamine Yamal plays in this outside of the foot cross, which is absolutely beautiful. It was on point to Fermin Lopez, who was running in, had the goal at his mercy. Joan Musso, the Atletico Madrid goalkeeper, saved it. But this was the crucial moment in the match, not just because that goal didn't go in, but Fermin Lopez got kicked in the face with the studs of the goalkeeper. Now, it was an accidental moment. There wasn't anything in it, but Fermin Lopez's face and hits the ground pretty hard after as well, and there's a lot of blood coming out. It looked like his nose had been broken. The game stopped for quite a while, and at that moment Atletico were on the ropes. They was like, it's just a matter of time until this is 3 and Barcelona could go miles ahead. That stoppage completely changed the momentum of the match itself, and a couple of minutes after it restarted, Atletico Madrid scored a beautiful goal of their own, culminating in Ademola Lookman, who's one of the signings of the season. He arrived late in January, but he's had a massive impact for Atletico Madrid, having joined from Atalanta.
Good job JJ's not here, because these days he's absolutely furious whenever a player goes down and arrests the momentum of the game. He hates it. We'll get text messages in the WhatsApp group going, "That player should be standing up again. This is infuriating." Although it sounds in this instance as though the blood, I'm sure, would have persuaded JJ.
His nose looked to be hanging off his face.
I like the way that you described it as his face hit the floor, as though it had just sort of fallen off.
It was honestly, when I watched it, I thought the injury was going to be much, much worse than it was. He did play on, although naturally, if you've got that, essentially you've got that pain in your neck, you can't play normally.
No, Barcelona, you still can't breathe through your nose.
Well, exactly. I mean, it is a massive issue in Barcelona, but Barcelona were very, very good in this game. They could have scored more. They were a little bit wasteful. There was a really big chance at the end. Ronaldo Araujo's header should have scored to take it the extra time. He didn't. Eric Garcia got sent off. Again, it was the issue of being the last man. That high line again got got caught out a little bit. And I thought it was really, really interesting. Diego Simeone said after the game, you have to attack Barcelona. That's how you beat them. You have to attack them, because if you don't take those risks, then you're not going to get any joy. Their star talent will show eventually. This was the 6th time this season those two sides had played each other. Obviously, Atletico beat them in the Copa as well. So
comprehensively, was that?
Yeah. So the first leg was 4-0 in Madrid, and then Barcelona got it back to 3-0 in I think in the second leg, and just wasn't enough.
And there was a comprehensive game, or was that against Real Madrid? Maybe I'm thinking about that. Cut this. Something got cut.
Actually, nothing got cut. It only works when I say it. Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah.
What do we think of this, though? Because I think that's an interesting facet of why a lot of people enjoy the Champions League, right? Because I think in league football, often you'll see teams being like, okay, this team's very good. We're just going to sit in and try and prevent them from doing what they're good at. Whereas in the Champions League knockout stage, it feels as though every game is, the only way you can win this game is by going for it. And that's what happened in the Liverpool game as well, where in the second half they went for it because they were heading out.
But if it's going to happen, or people will talk about it tonight. I don't know what the result of Arsenal Sporting will be, but people will certainly say what you just said. You got to go for it.
Yeah. And I think when you get to that level of elite football, when you have the players at your disposal to be able to make the difference, then I think you will always regret not going for it, because you think, all it takes is for one of those chances to go in, and the whole game can change.
Yeah.
I think that's true. It's a psychological thing, though, in cup competitions in general, that, it's sort of do or die. Whereas in the league, everyone's a bit safer, isn't it? It's like, well, you're kind of looking ahead, you're thinking of other matches a little bit.
Goal difference matters, right? Yeah. In a league, whereas it doesn't so much outside of the confines of you got to win the knockout leg.
Yeah.
And then the knockout stages of the Champions League have been brilliant. Like genuinely, each game that I've watched has been full of attacking football, full of directness, full of intensity. And look, Premier League teams maybe struggle a bit with that because the league's a bit more intense, it's a bit more physical, it's more draining. PSG, for instance, might get a free weekend. Premier League teams don't have that sort of, but I'm not making excuses for them, but it's the difference in football that kind of slightly slower tempo of league football then creates a platform for these teams to really go for it. And
people have said that about the World Cup as well, haven't they? I've heard that opinion this year, that like one of the reasons England never win the World Cup is because their players who mostly play in the Premier League are so exhausted by the time the end of the summer comes around, relative to players who might play in leagues where it's slightly less stressful towards the end of the campaign. I don't know how much stock to put in that, but I think it's an interesting idea. Don't smirk at me like that, John. Just don't smirk at me.
That's interesting. You're getting the excuses in already.
I'm not getting any excuses. I fully believe England are going to win the World Cup. I can't take you seriously either, because next to you, Gigi Buffon is just staring at me from that book. Was he
was in yesterday.
He was here yesterday. I saw you.
Yeah.
What was he doing? Did he do a podcast in here?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Do we know? Does it been published yet?
It will come out at some point soon.
Great. Is that an exclusive that we've just dropped?
I'm not sure. We'll have to check with our friends. At
Well, no one told me
Show,
not to say anything about it.
Okay.
Also, I've noticed that Tom Williams, as much as he's a terrific journalist, his book has got pride of place here, where actually the Tifo one was before. So just give me a second. There we go. Thanks, Tom.
And through the magic of editing.
Look at that. Terrific. How to watch football. In case you didn't know, I'm trying to think who I know that doesn't know. No one funny. What were we saying? Oh, we were saying about Atletico. I was actually.
You were making excuses about why England
they're going to win the World Cup.
But
John.
if they don't,
it will be because of. It will be because of
Mr. Speaker
of reverse. I'll use anything. It will be because of a historic murder that happened years ago. That somehow through a process of entanglement led to this time.
The butterfly effect.
The butterfly effect. Yeah, it will be related to my sadness. Anyway. Kaya, people keep telling me about Atletico Madrid this season. They keep saying when they come to me and they say Atletico Madrid, and I say, what do you mean, that dour defensive team that has been the same for 20 years, nigh on a change, nary a nothing, And they say, you're out of touch, man. They have changed. They're different now. And I say, get out of my life, Dad. He's dead. And then I hear when I'm asleep that they have changed. I don't know where the sleeping part came from.
Yeah, your dreams are telling you some interesting interesting things.
They've changed.
Yeah, I mean, for a while in the script here, Steve had written, someone has been saying interesting things about what
Thanks,
Atletico's
Kaya.
strengths
Cheers,
are now.
thank you. Yeah.
I'm going to play a game with you guys, which I'm going to, to be honest, I think is quite easy based on the context of this conversation and how this has been set up. But we had two managers in that game last night. Obviously, Hansi Flick, very famed for being this attacking manager who plays kind of high-octane, exciting football. And
He's the Barcelona manager.
He is the Barcelona manager.
Yeah.
And Diego Simeone, who is
Atletico Madrid.
very good.
Yeah.
He's obviously historically been more famed for the defensive football that seems to haunt your nightmares, I think.
That's
Joe.
right, yeah.
And
my dad's.
Sorry, yes, your dad's nightmares. But here's a quote for you. You have to guess who it's by. We know our strengths. We know our weaknesses. We're a team who attacks better than we defend.
Is it? No. Let me pick a different name. Let me pick a different name. Sorry, hold on.
Maybe another guess.
I quite like that one. I thought
Hold on. Who's good? Oh, yeah. Is it?
I mean,
Is that still as bad?
I don't want to put a hierarchy in these things, but like,
Is it Ban Ki-moon? Is that a Ban Ki-moon quote?
I think it's Kofi Annan, actually.
Is it Kofi Annan?
Yeah.
Who's your favourite UN Director General?
Ban Ki-moon.
Butros Ghali.
I
Is he
liked
one of them?
Butros Ghali, yeah. I thought terrific work. I don't know what he did.
Terrific
but,
work.
Terrific work. Yeah, terrific work.
But listen, you'll be shocked to hear it. It's none of the UN January.
Oh yeah, this is
January-
an interesting
Can
one.
you read the quote again?
Secretaries General.
Secretaries General, General
Yes.
Secretary. So the quote is, we know our strengths and we know our weaknesses. We're a team who attacks better than we defend.
Is
You sure it
is
isn't
that
Ban Ki-moon?
Simeone?
It is Diego Simeone.
It is Simeone.
Yeah.
When did he say that recently?
Said this last night.
Wow.
As well, 2 nights ago, as this may be coming out. I'm not 100% sure.
Did he say it after they won?
He said it after Atletico beat
Well,
Barcelona.
it doesn't mean anything then, does it? Because after you win, you can say whatever you want.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. That's me after Rondo Del Rey. I say some horrible things.
That's like saying Leeds are going to get relegated before the game happens where they beat Man United. Isn't
That's
it?
brave. No, that's brave. What
Right.
I did was brave. What Diego Simeone did was just it's like the equivalent of he watched Leeds win and then he said, I think Leeds are going to win
that's
this one.
true.
You know,
Yeah.
Leeds did what they did better. They attack better than they defend. You know, which isn't true
No,
because they're
probably not.
equally bad at both of those things. Is there any more quotes in your game?
That's just what I feel like maybe it was hinted at before. But you know what? Let's go for another one. We knew that over 2 games there was only one way to take them on: to attack them.
I mean,
that one must be. Ban
That's
Ki-moon.
kind of Colin maybe said that.
I'm assuming that you're reading it off the same page of quotes that it may have been the same press conference. But
that's very solid logic, Colin. I'll be honest with you.
I'm
I did say the game was easy. I did say the game was easy. But
Can you read us a quote that isn't from Simeone so that we can guess who it's
do
from?
you have
Do you want me to read the quote that I was...
Just find
find a
famous,
random quote.
famous random quotes,
All right.
and we'll guess who they're from.
this
I'm
is
just going to
quite a
type
fun
quote into Google and see what comes. That's the definition of the word quote.
famous quotes.
Okay, all right.
I don't just want some random
You know
quote.
you're in love when you can't fall asleep because reality is finally better than your dreams.
Teddy Sheringham. Is it
Very
Teddy?
close, very close. This is actually Ban Ki-moon.
Wait, read it again.
You know you're in love when you can't fall
Is
asleep.
this a song lyric?
No, it's a quote. You know you're in love
this is a
when you
song
can't fall
lyric.
asleep because reality is finally better than your dreams.
That's a song lyric.
When I type quote into
Who
Google,
is
it's
it?
what comes up. It's Dr. Seuss.
Oh, for God's sake. That's a rhyming couplet Seuss, man.
It's not a song lyric.
Get an actual famous person,
All right.
not Dr. Zeus.
Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can.
Is that what's written on the tin of that DIY product? You know?
Ron Seal.
No, it's not. It's not the Ron Seal, man.
It's the additional instructions on the Ron Seal can.
Yeah.
First thing is it does what it says in the tin, and then on the tin it says start where you can. Well, who's that one?
That's Arthur Ashe.
Who's that? Is that
Tennis player.
Is that the guy from
Yeah.
Pokemon?
I mean, this is all according to the Google AI.
Can
so
you pick some actually
Yeah, come
famous
on,
quotes? Can't
life
you?
is about making an impact, not making an income.
That's Warren Buffett or something, isn't it?
I think Warren Buffett's
don't
would
know
be
who
life
this
is about
is.
making an income, not an impact.
Yes.
Who was that?
It's, Kevin Cruz.
Yeah, another non-famous person. Where are you?
Do you
American
not know
historian,
what famous
professor.
people? He doesn't
All
understand.
right. Let's
He-
find. So you know what? Let's find
He
famous.
goes
quote.
home and he closes his eyes and lets nothing pass into his
Strive
brain.
not to be a success,
Oh, this
but
is famous.
rather to be of value.
These are all shit quotes.
look,
Well, I'm sorry, just
Kaya,
the Google
here's
AI.
here's how the game works, okay?
Yeah.
To be or not to be.
Shakespeare!
Oh, there you go. Okay. I think, therefore I am.
Boutros Ghali.
That's Rene Descartes.
That's Descartes. Be the change you wish to see in the world.
Who is that?
Is that Gandhi?
It's Gandhi.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
congratulations.
just say on the Google
I
AI,
have
it's up
a
here.
dream
That was you earlier.
That's true. I did have a dream.
And Joe's
earlier.
dad.
But someone very important had a dream.
Martin Luther King.
It was
Okay.
Martin Luther King. Life is what happens to you when you're busy making other plans. Does anyone know this?
Ferris
one?
Bueller's Day Off.
Oscar Wilde.
I play a game with my friend Adam on our movie podcast, the Movies You Forgot podcast. It's great fun, by the way. The game we play on there is this a movie quote or something from a tea towel? You know, like a throwaway phrase that would just live on a tea towel. I feel like this one, life's what happens when you're busy making other plans, is the kind of thing that would be written on a tea towel. But also John Lennon said it. So there you go.
On a tea towel.
And what about this one? In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity.
That feels like an American president.
In the middle of difficulty.
In the middle of
Would it not be at
difficulty.
the end of difficulty?
I think, well, Albert Einstein seems to think it's in the middle. You know,
Not sure.
frankly, my dear.
I don't give a damn.
Hansi Flick.
Yes, exactly. It was Hansi Flick who didn't give a damn
Yeah.
that Barcelona are knocked out of the Champions League. I mean, what next for them, really?
For
Who is-
Barcelona.
Who is the quote? Oh, that's
It's just Gone with the Wind. This is
Yeah,
from Gone with the
yeah.
Wind. I don't know who wrote Gone with the Wind.
what's the name of the person? Scarlett something.
I don't know
Scarlett.
the name of
Is
the
that
actor.
Ingrid Bergman, or am I getting that wrong?
Don't
Probably am
pretend
getting
you've
that wrong.
watched a movie.
I've
We
not
know
seen
you're-
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah. Oh, let's make him watch Gone with the Wind. Let's make him watch Citizen
God.
No,
Kane.
he's still got to. It was spoken by Rhett Butler, Clark Gable.
Rhett Butler. That's it.
Clark Gable.
I was thinking Scarlett, Rhett. See what my brain has done
Scarlett
there.
O'Hara
Is the other one.
is the as
As the woman.
Vivian Lee. Yeah.
I-
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Great movie.
Technically, it would be a southern accent because it's Gone with the Wind.
Do
So
you want me to do it
I
again?
do.
I'm a girl. Frankly, my dear, don't give a damn. I don't give one damn, nor two damn, nor three
Sound
damn
like
about
Colonel
that.
Sanders.
Kentucky.
There we go. Anyway, we've discussed Atletico have changed, whatever.
Yeah,
fucking
they attack
fine.
a lot now, basically.
They're different, cool. I mean, I can't believe that Simeone's been there for 15 years. It feels very special, doesn't it?
It's only 15. I thought it had been longer.
I think it's
think
14.
it's-
isn't
I
it?
can't think of a time before Simeone being. I was
Who was the
merely
Atletico Madrid manager
25
before?
years old when he started.
I think it might have been Quique Sanchez Flores.
Was
Oh,
it?
wow.
I think so. It might have been the year before, but it was around that time he would have left.
Little hint, there's a name that is going to come up in the rondo we play very soon.
Oh.
A little throw
yeah.
forward. Was it Kike Sanchez?
It was Gregorio Manzano.
Oh, Gregorio
Before that
Manzano.
was Quique Sanchez Flores,
yeah.
though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about Barcelona? I mean, they will perhaps be a bit disappointed to be out of the Champions League. I mean, not perhaps. They will be disappointed to be out of the Champions League.
Well, they haven't been in a final since 2015.
Has it been that
It's
long?
been that long.
That's
been-
over 10 years.
Yeah, it's insane. And they really did during those Messi years, were obviously the sort of team to beat. Certainly
Messi the player rather than
Those years where they were
existential-
untied.
existential moment of Messi.
MES.
The Messi years of Atletico,
But conversely, like Atletico Madrid, this is their first semi-final since they moved into their new stadium.
Yeah.
They're in the Copa del Rey final against Real Sociedad on Saturday. It's their first Copa final in 13 years. So they've kind of... I said at the start about Atletico of this season, I said at the start, look, it's kind of boring with them at the minute, isn't it? Because they're going to finish third, maybe second, but probably third. They're not going to really have a title challenge. They'll
No.
get to the last 16 of the Champions League like they always do. Then they'll go out. They won't win a cup like they never seem to do. But this year's actually been different. And we're talking about
almost
this
like
sort
they
of-
decided to start attacking. They're sitting at home being like,
they have
it took me
second.
15 years to work out that actually attacking is a good way of winning games.
They have conceded in the Champions League 26 goals this season.
Wow.
If they play Arsenal, now Arsenal have conceded up until the second leg of the quarterfinal, they conceded 5 goals.
Arsenal have become Atletico Madrid. Wow.
Yes,
And they're
it's
going to
true.
get beaten
It's
by
true.
Atletico.
Well, I
Madrid.
was going to say, I don't want to spend too long on this because we don't, as discussed numerous times, we don't know what's happened. Maybe Sporting will win. Who knows? But let's assume Arsenal do go through. John, do you think part of me wants to believe that Arsenal actually might find it more difficult facing Atletico Madrid than they would facing Barcelona? But then that's all based on my preconceptions that Madrid are still this defensive team, which they clearly aren't.
I mean, Arsenal seem to find it difficult, whoever they're facing at the moment. That's
Zing!
the
There it
problem.
is.
But, you know, they're going to come into that game potentially being no longer favourites to win the Premier League.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It all depends on what what psychological state the Arsenal team find themselves in.
Sure.
Kaya was
from
also
a purely tactical perspective. Like, imagine that they were neutrally up for it. Like, imagine that being up for it was a neutral factor for both teams.
Okay.
Do you think that like it would be it is better or worse for Arsenal to face what Atletico Madrid offer them here, or will propose than Barcelona? Yeah.
I mean, you're always going to take Atletico Madrid over Barca, I think.
Really?
Yeah. Because despite the fact that
They haven't got Lamine Yamal.
well, I mean, as Colin was saying, the big thing about Barca is they play that high line, right? And that you can get in behind that high line. But it doesn't even feel like Arsenal are even a team that would necessarily enjoy the benefits of that as much as maybe other teams. But
Right.
yeah, I still think it, as we said before, it's the Champions League. It almost just becomes a matchup of like your best players. So you pick the team with the least best players as your a potential opponent. Maybe that's a
Right.
boring answer.
No, that's
but
fair. That's fair.
I think that would be the way that I would think about it.
Okay, fine. I mean, do we think Atletico Madrid have a real chance of winning? Or do we think they're going to get to beat? They'll face Arsenal potentially, or they'll get to the final and face one of Bayern, Real Madrid. I mean, yeah.
There's a real sense that it could be their year because obviously Simeone has been going for the Champions League for such a long time. It's the one trophy I think he's not managed to win with Atletico Madrid.
He hasn't won the Premier League.
He hasn't won it. You can't. That's why I qualify with Atletico Madrid.
No, but still
coming.
technically, you know.
Yeah, or the
He's got you
or the
in
FA
Kaya,
Cup.
right?
It's not the one trophy that they compete for.
Yeah,
that
no,
he hasn't
touche,
won, you know,
touche.
That's all.
But also, it's Antoine Griezmann's last season
Yeah.
at Atletico Madrid before he goes to the MLS in the summer, and he's been in amazing form. He was brilliant again last night, and probably one of the, if not the player of the matches across the two legs.
Right.
So you get the sense that maybe
Player
things
of the
are-
legs.
Player of the legs, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. You get the sense that maybe things are just lining up for them quite nicely. And, you know, people talk about Arsenal being on the favourable side of the draw. I think Atletico would argue that they were also on the more favourable side. I know Barcelona in the quarterfinals is tough, but Spurs in the round of 16, potentially, you know, Arsenal Sporting in the semi-final. It could have been a lot more difficult for them.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just your year and things are lining up quite well for them. You could definitely make a case that
They've got a good story, a good winning narrative. Like,
Yeah.
is there another team that has a better winning narrative than Atletico Madrid?
I mean, you could argue Arsenal have never won the competition as well, but
Sure.
not the same, I suppose.
Why is it not the same?
As in, like, Atletico's is stronger, the
Is it?
narrative. Yeah, I'd say so. As in terms of, like, Griezmann's last season, Simeone's been going out
This is
for
Arteta.
ages.
I thought I've heard it's Arteta's last. That's a joke, by the way.
Yeah, that's it.
I do think as well, like making the point about Arsenal's sort of psychological situation at the minute, and it is true that not only that, but the focus is obviously the Premier League at the minute. Like it has to be because of the situation. Atletico Madrid have just sacked off La Liga. They're literally just playing reserve teams, youth teams, and just resting players for these key matches, which of course they've every right to do, and that's a massive advantage. And the other thing I would say is, you talking stylistically, yeah, Barcelona had that stardust, but you know exactly what you're going to get with Barcelona. I think you know exactly how to play them. It might not work, but you know how to do it. I think Atletico are a bit more flexible with how they approach matches, and they do have players that can hurt you. There's a lot of talk about Julian Alvarez, right? And how great a season he's had and how great a player he is. But to be honest, he's not really had that good a season. He's a very good player, but there's definitely a sense within Spain that he has underperformed. He hasn't really contributed enough, hasn't scored enough. Yeah. But in the Champions League, he has turned up. So they do also have players like that who can make a difference. I mentioned obviously the Lookman signing as well, but they're now such a dangerous counter-attacking team. Obviously, that was a good stylistic match of Barca, but I don't know. I just think when you get to this stage of the competition, and
it's hard to know, isn't
Diego
it?
Simeone is just such a character and in having these matches and motivating players in a very unique way. I think
a lot of neutrals would be happy if they won. I'm just looking at the other remaining teams and trying to think what the story of their win would be. In the case of Arsenal, okay, maybe it would be.
We lost everything else.
Salvaging it.
Essentially. Or like, you know, Mikel Arteta builds something incredible out of nothing, right? Like that would be the story. Although today it doesn't feel as exciting. I think the only other one that is maybe compelling, and listeners will have to forgive me for knowing nothing about sporting, so I can't derive that, would be Bayern. Simply, and again, we don't know the results of anything that's happened. Who are they playing tonight?
Real Madrid.
They're playing Real Madrid, and they're currently 2-1 on aggregate,
Yes.
right? Okay, fine. So we don't know what's happened, but like their story as it stands today, I think, is that they're potentially the greatest current football superpower, right? PSG's would be a bit surprising, but we won it 2 years in a row, whatever. But Bayern under Company, they look like, well, they have at times this season looked like the best team in the world, right? I mean, is their story just? When was the last time Bayern won it? It's been a while.
2020, yeah,
Oh,
COVID.
It's not been that long. Okay, fine. But I don't know. Their story feels like a little bit strong, powerful, compelling.
Yeah, and you could also argue it's Vincent Kompany's only his second season in the Champions League, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so that's also quite a compelling narrative as well, and how he's changed Bayern stylistically and the way he's sort of blended his kind of time in the Premier League and brought a few Premier League players over there. That's kind of interesting. And
maybe it's partly the Vincent Kompany story rather than just the Bayern story.
Yeah.
Right?
So
sure.
in 2 years, Scott Parker will be winning the Champions League.
The Champions League does have a funny way of just writing its own narratives, though, isn't it? Because we did the same with PSG, and again, like PSG winning the Champions League is not. It's not a particularly fairy tale story, is it? But we still managed to make it into one.
Sure.
But the thing as well about that was that they actually did struggle for so much of that tournament. They weren't even that convincing for large parts of the knockouts, but what you remember, that final, obviously, even maybe the semi-final against Arsenal, but that sort of conditions how you view it.
I think that's, again, comes up back to what we were saying before, is that like every team now at this stage has the players who can make the difference, and teams are leaning into that, and they're saying, go out and do that. We're not gonna hold you back.
Thing is, though, Arsenal have never won the Champions League. and of the clubs of their stature, it is a fair point to say that's the thing that they are missing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very fair to say they're missing it.
Accurate, you might say.
That's true.
Last final was 2006 as well, so it's not even as if they've got particularly close.
Steve's never spoken for this long on the podcast before.
I just think to say Bayern's a better story is mad.
We should have got him. We shouldn't have got him that new headset where he sounds good. Now he's happier to talk.
That's why they put the mesh up. So,
I'm not saying Bayern is necessarily a better story than Arsenal. I'm just saying, as I look through that, and this is milk and fairy dust anyway, right? This is like, this is just how I feel about the PR of each of these teams involved, what the narrative is, what the fan narrative is. Yeah, in the case of Arsenal, the reason none of them feel particularly exciting is because today they're having a bad time. If they win tonight and they win convincingly, then ahead of a big fixture this weekend, and I don't know, Mikel Arteta puts another video on the big screen. Maybe the vibes will be back, right?
He's going to put up a quote from Albert Einstein that says, "In the middle of difficulties,
is opportunity.
lies opportunity."
Yeah, exactly. The opportunity to lose in the Champions League quarterfinals. No, listen, we don't know what's happened. I assume, of course, they've won. Of course they've won. People will know that while I'm listening now. But
Isn't it incredible that Arsenal lost?
Amazing,
remarkable.
Right, listen. We were going to talk a little bit about PSG and Liverpool, but we don't really have time. So instead, we're going to sack that off, and we're just going to do a rondo after this advertisement break. Okay, welcome back. It's time for a rondo. Now, how does the rondo work? Here we go. I asked the gang here a question that has multiple correct answers. Today, it has 24 correct answers, okay? And we go round in a circle, collecting correct answers. As soon as we hear an incorrect answer, that person is jettisoned, ejected, out of the game. Or if someone takes a little too long for my liking to answer, I will eject them myself. The final person standing with the correct answer is named Rondo Del Rey. And there we go. The current Rondo Del Rey holder is, who is it?
Jack Pitt-Brooke.
Oh, of course, it's Jack Pitt-Brooke, who did very well on Monday's show, didn't he? Now, what is the Rondo question today? This one came from Free Dimension in our Tifo Football Discord, which you can join, by the way. There'll be a link wherever you're listening or watching this episode. Come and join us, and you can suggest a rondo for a future episode. Thanks to Free Dimension for this. This is a list of all the Spanish and Portuguese managers who have managed in the Premier League.
Can I go first?
There are 24 of them, and you can go first.
Thanks.
John,
I'm going to go with Quique Sanchez Flores.
You bastard.
You can have Quique Sanchez Flores, of course, who managed at Watford. Now, Kaya, what about you?
He technically managed Watford twice, so can I have him as well?
No.
Okay.
It's not instances, it's people.
Okay, Mikel Arteta.
Mikel Arteta, you can have.
Jose
Mourinho, you can have.
Andoni Iraola.
Of course you can have Andoni Iraola. And John, we already told you we are going to talk about him. Will you just wait, please? Yes, Kaya.
Pep Guardiola.
Pep Guardiola, of course. Colin?
Marco Silva.
Marco Silva, of course. John?
Unai Emery, I can't get nobody.
Unai Emery, he does have a human body. Kaya?
Vitor Pereira.
Yes, Vitor Pereira. That's where I am. No, don't take me there. Your wish is my command. No? That's going to come
That's
back
good.
when there's another name, because another name fits perfectly into that song as well. Yes, Colin?
Nuno Espirito Santo.
Yeah, it's not that name,
Nope.
but that does count. John?
Javi Gracia.
Javi Gracia, you can have.
Nice.
Incidentally, at this moment, I will tell you that this does also include caretaker managers, so people who've managed for 1 or 2 or 3 games, right? There's not that many of them, but they're in there.
Juan de Ramos.
Juan de Ramos, you can have. Colin?
Julian Lopetegui.
Yes, Julian
Very
Lopetegui.
good.
He's in here somewhere. There he is. You can have him, yeah. 2 different teams. I couldn't remember the second team that he managed. Was it West Ham?
Wolves and West Ham.
West Ham,
Yes.
yeah. Okay, Wolves, yeah. John?
Former Watford manager Zisco.
Yes.
Oh.
Cisco Munoz, who managed Watford in 2021 for 7 games. You can have that.
Bruno Lage.
Bruno Lage, you can have. We're doing quite well so far. It's getting to the tricky end, though, Colin. Who have you got?
Oh, no.
There are some huge names on here.
How many left?
Do you want me to count them? There is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 10 left.
It's completely frozen.
Well,
That's time, surely.
I'm giving
Surely.
he's a guest, so I'm giving him a tiny bit longer.
He's not a guest anymore.
All right, he's done. He's laughing. Okay, Colin, you are ejected. John?
No one said Rafa Benitez yet.
No one has said Rafa Benitez. No, you could have had that, Colin. Kaya?
Andre Villas-Boas.
Andre Villas-Boas also could have had that, Colin. In fact, Colin, I'll just preface this by saying any of the names they say, you could have had them. Okay, John?
I'm running very low now.
Oh.
Can't think of any. Oh,
His fury about time comes back to bite him.
I resign
You can't resign.
on time-based
No,
grounds.
you can't resign. Come on. Only I get to fire you. That's it.
But I'm now in a headspace where I'm not actually even thinking anymore. I'm just sitting here looking at you.
United manager until very recent.
Ruben Amorim.
Oh, there you go, Ruben
yeah,
Amorim. Yeah,
nice,
of course.
yeah.
Hey, Kaya, what about you?
This feels unfair.
Technically, John's had one more correct answer than you right now.
Yeah, because you gave him it.
No, I was just. I took my time getting there.
Okay.
We already had Bruno Lage, didn't we?
Yep.
There's another Bruno in here. He only managed a team for 1 game, though. Pretty recently.
Is it Bruno Salto?
It's Bruno Salto,
well,
yeah.
You're giving him.
I had him in my brain.
Okay.
I had him in
No
my
more
brain.
clues. No more clues. Now we're done.
Never in doubt.
And don't remember, John, even if I hadn't given you a clue, you still would have had to get one anyway to win, right? It's possible that neither of you will win, but no more clues. I will tell you, of the remaining 6 names, there is one that you will all kick yourself for not saying, and then the rest of them are tricky.
Sounded like a fart.
I think that's time.
I don't know if this is allowed, but I think I know it.
Do you? Well, just wait. You've
Uh-huh.
got to, because you're not in the game. So if you say it aloud, then you're going to give it to John.
Yeah.
Whisper it into my ear.
I think you might know it
Think of
as
some more
well.
Watford managers.
No.
They seem to have loads of them.
There's no more Watfords on here. I think. Well, there might be. I don't know. I think you're done, John.
I'm done.
I think you're done. Okay, now Kaya, it's up to you. Were
I
looking
reckon
at
you
my
should
laptop?
give John a bit. No, I wasn't looking at your laptop. What is
Right.
this?
He always cheats. This is why he always
He's
wins.
always going to the toilet to look up on his
Yeah.
phone, isn't he? Right now, come on, TikTok. You got 10. I'll give you 10 seconds because John got about 20.
Seems ridiculously unfair. I
I think that's it, Steve, isn't it?
That's not
I
10
think-
seconds.
And me also just tapping your foot on the floor from a
I'm
mic
not
point of
tapping
view.
my
is
foot on
it?
the floor. I'm not doing
it's
it.
Colin tapping the
Oh,
floor.
right.
I'm being framed yet again. I get accused of cheating and then I get framed.
He's
for
doing
tapping my
that.
foot.
This
He's
is all
doing that
extra
thing
good
that
time.
kids do when they've
This
got to go to bed, where
is
they
what
drag it out as
you
well.
think about.
Okay,
when
you're out of the game.
thinking
That's it.
slowly.
Banger. He's over. Okay.
Hey, whoa.
Shush up now.
Can I just chuck in a name just for random?
Say a name.
Let me just think.
Okay. He's cut his mic, Steve. It's game over. There we go. Okay, so no Rondo Del Rey today. Now, here's names you could have had. I'll save the obvious one till the end, okay? As far as the Spanish managers go, you could have had Ruben Selles, who was at Southampton. You could have had Pepe I've written Pepe Pell. But I think it's
Mel,
Pepe
West
Mel.
Brom, yeah.
You could have had I talk Karanka. That's where I am.
Yep.
Don't take me there. For Middlesbrough, of course. Portuguese managers, you could have had Rui Pedro Silva, who managed Nottingham Forest for 2 matches in 2024, or you could have had Carlos Carvajal, who was at Swansea for about half the season.
Yeah.
Remember? And then the obvious Spanish name,
Roberto Martinez.
Roberto Martinez.
Oh,
Yeah, who was the 5th most
He's Belgian
managed.
in my head.
Well, your head is very wrong. In that
So it doesn't
instance,
count.
Unfortunately, it doesn't count. There we go.
It's not canon.
From
So
Wigan in mind.
no claiming. That means that Jack
keeps
Pickbrook
it.
has held on to the
Yeah.
Rondo Del Rey crown.
And he wanted it more, I
He
would
really
say.
wanted
on the
it.
basis of
He's
my
not
list.
currently booked in for another show as of yet, so it might be a while. But there's a chance that he could still be the Rondo captain.
Could
by
be
the
quite
time
soon though,
he
because
returns.
we do need to do some bookings.
Yeah, we got to do some booking, Steve. Yeah, I'm actually getting a little tired of the same old faces. I don't know about you, Steve. But some of these guys. Anyway, there we go. That was a fun Rondo. What is it next now? Of course, we've all left the Rondo crown to Jack Pickbrook. But someone else has left something else, John, haven't they? And that's you. You have left your fandom of Bournemouth effective at the end of the season. And unfortunately for you, you will have to support whoever Andoni Iraola ends up at next, because you're sort of more of a follower of a person than you are.
You say
of a
that as
team
though it's a
these
weird
days.
thing, but like,
Well, no, it's what all the kids are doing.
well, yeah, maybe.
I
But
texted you last night, didn't I? I said, do you remember when Ronaldo moved from Real Madrid to Juventus and there were hundreds of thousands of Twitter? I said, Bournemouth are going to lose one Twitter follower and whatever the next club is, be it Athletic Club or whoever, wherever he ends up, they're going to add one Twitter follower, aren't they? And it'll be you waiting for any club updates you can get.
I was going to say I don't really follow any clubs on Twitter, but I do actually follow Bournemouth on Twitter.
Make sure you unfollow them, I think, after this. It's a sour day, writes Steve, for the Cherries, as Andoni Iraola has announced that he will be leaving Bournemouth at the end of the season. The decision brings Iraola's 3-year spell on the south coast of England to an end, having joined from Spanish side at Rayo Vallecano. He also said, quote, "I'm sorry, John. I know how much you love my football, but I'll be somewhere else soon. It will be okay."
I'm fine, Joe.
Now, John, Steve asked you earlier today. He just left a little slot in the script here where he said, "John, can you add some notes?" Because you insisted that we could dedicate episodes and episodes to this if we
entire
wanted to, or even more. As a starting point, like what do you think that we've learned from his time in the Premier League? Because we jest about your love for him. His impact on the game is pretty significant, I would say, isn't it?
I did actually get quite emotional thinking about his
Really?
Premier League time the other day. Well, no, from the point of view that like I started watching Andoni Iraola.
People get emotional thinking of Solskjaer's goal in '99, where you're like, oh, the tactical impact on the Premier League.
Yeah, but so I started watching him 5 seasons ago.
When he was at Rayo Vallecano.
When he was at Rayo, I kind of we at the time Leeds had Marcelo Bielsa, and I was working for I was doing stuff for a Leeds podcast where we sort of focused on the tactic side of things a lot. So the big question was who's going to replace Bielsa. So that was my introduction to Iraola. And from that season onwards, when I made a video just breaking down his tactics, I watched every game of his at Rayo Vallecano. So the last couple of seasons, and then just carried on doing it when he came to Bournemouth as well. Yeah. But I sort of felt like I was a bit on a limb because I was quite positive about him coming into the Premier League. And obviously he had that 9-game winless streak where everyone was like, oh, he's not good enough for our league.
Right.
For
our league.
Yeah. That was very much the
something did get cut. Actually, Steve,
that took a turn. Wow.
He had that 9-game streak where he went winless, and it was a little bit nervy. Obviously, people questioning whether or not he was good enough.
They thought he was shit,
Premier
John.
League. That's true. Yes. But then obviously went from strength to strength throughout his time in the Premier League. And I think a couple of things. One being that he was coaching a team where they were very much a seller's club, right? So consistently had to deal with losing his best players. Yeah. Lost Dom Solanke, for example, to Spurs, who was an important part of that team. Yeah. Lost basically his entire back line effectively at the beginning of this season.
Should we say, and then those players also, they lost Antoine Semenyo in the summer.
Yeah.
In
the January.
In the January, sorry. They lost Zabani, Dean Howson, Milos Kerkez, and Dango Ouattara as well.
Yeah, and I guess, I mean, if you were to consider the appointment from a purely cold financial point of view, you look at the amount of value that he's added to that club just through the improvement of those players, and it's remarkable what he's done.
But that's not how you like to look at it.
It's not, no, but I do think, I tweeted about this the other day, and a big part of what Iraola has done so well is platform players and improved players. I think, yes, there's the interesting tactical aspects, the out of possession approach, which has now become pretty ubiquitous. You know, he was one of the original people doing hybrid pressing back in the 2020s, around the sort of time when Arteta was developing it with Arsenal as well. I genuinely do think he is an innovator in a way that people don't really talk about. For example, you know, he always gets thrown in with, you know, your Glasners and your Thomas Franks, but sure. I think he's
very original. Right?
Yeah, genuinely think he's a tactical innovator. His approach was fresh and new, but also on top of that, he is just a coach, right? He's he coaches players, he improves players, and he gets on with things. I tweeted about this, but like, he lost a lot of players. Things went wrong, and I've listened to a lot of his press conferences, and he never sort of focuses on that.
Have you
stuff.
ever heard him like hard complain about stuff? I can't.
He'll occasionally. I mean, even when he talks about refereeing decisions, he'll just be. He's sort of very matter of fact about it.
Yeah. He's got a sort of librarian vibe to him.
Yeah, and I think there's a sort of wholesomeness about him in the sense that he's very much a coach who takes a set of players that's given to him and realizes that his task is to improve them, and he gets on with it and does it. And even just talking about the potential clubs that he could join, there's a potential he could go to a club like Athletic Club in Bilbao. He's not being touted. He is being touted as moving to some of the bigger clubs around Europe, but also you could see him doing the Bielsa thing and just going to a club where he
wants to be.
He likes the vibe, and you get the impression with him that he's not sort of that caught up in his own career as sort of making himself the center of attention. He just enjoys coaching. He's a good coach, and he wants to make teams better.
Well, Steve includes here also that this is actually the third side in a row that Iraola has left on his own terms when his contract has expired, which is quite a rare thing.
Yeah, for example, Leeds were trying to get him when he was at Rayo Vallecano mid-season, and he was saying, "I'm going to honour my contract." So yeah, and you know the causal links to Bielsa, I don't think that's strange, given he played for him for a long period.
Yeah,
but he definitely gives that the impression that it was almost like he considers coaching as a vocation.
Yeah,
and it's something that he does, and he recognises that there's more important things outside of that, but he's still going to work hard and produce good teams. And I think he's done that, right? Every season he's had to change the way that they play. He's evolved through his time in the Premier League. This season, people were questioning whether or not the magic had finally run out, and they're 12 matches unbeaten now, having beaten Arsenal at the weekend, made Kaya cry, can confirm.
Yeah.
One of his finest achievements.
I was looking up sad quotes earlier when you guys were talking about Arsenal. Do you want a sad quote? Just to balance out all the quotes?
Throw it in.
All right, okay. You can guess who it's by. So it's true. When all is said and done, grief is the price we pay for love.
I mean, that's definitely Ban Ki-moon.
Who said that?
E.A. Buchianeri.
E.A. Buchianeri.
Can't believe we didn't get that one.
How about that? Grief is the price you pay for love.
Yeah,
that's true. The price. Because I've had guinea pigs, and I've had dogs, and I've had other things, and they've all died. It's sad, isn't it? But they love you when they're there, and then they die.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I've cut you off mid-flow there.
Oh, that's all right.
Just because
it's sort of. I think it reflects the. You know, I mean, Andoni Iraola will continue to live on. In fact, maybe that's what we should say. If there is an afterlife for Andoni Iraola, what would be the ideal team for him to manage in that afterlife? Because I don't know if we've done any reporting on where he might go, or are these Athletic Club rumours just rumours?
Well, I think for Athletic Club, there's definitely interest in Andoni Iraola for obvious reasons. I think he would have been open to going to Athletic Club. I had actually spoken to somebody about this who reasonably well connected, and they said that one of the issues they could foresee, maybe from more Iraola's end and the club's end, was that he is a massive Athletic Club fan, right? So it's a professional move, but that would really be a personal thing for him. So if he wasn't to succeed, it would hurt him in a way that other jobs wouldn't.
Right.
Also, the fact he is as we've alluded to, he's kind of got a really big market this summer.
Yeah.
So whilst Athletic Club are on the lookout for a new coach,
it's by no means.
It's by no means
yeah.
certain. I think
Okay.
Edin Terzic is a name that has been
Right.
mentioned quite strongly with them. But again, that's up in the air. I think for Iraola, he's got so many opportunities this summer. I think a lot of clubs are going to be changing their manager. A lot of managers are going to be on the market. I do want to point out as well that a large part of why somebody like Iraola is such a good coach and it's maybe a little bit different is from where he's from in the Basque Country, from Gipuzkoa, that province which just produces this remarkable churn of...
What's it called? Gipuzkoa?
Gipuzkoa.
Is that's what Kate Bush was singing about? Gipuzkoa in Andoni Iraola.
So you got Xabi Alonso, you got Arteta, Unai Emery,
Wow.
Julian Lopetegui, a couple of others.
Yeah.
All of it, and then it's only 650, 700,000 people in that province. It's really not very big.
A rich vein of
Yeah.
football heritage. Incredible.
So it's like a
what do we
cultural
attribute
thing.
this thing?
Yeah, I think it's mainly like a Basque cultural thing of sport is a very, very big part of Basque society, but also this sort of outgoingness that isn't really quite the same anywhere else. It's a very kind of it is a very societal place in terms of what people do, and people are in sort of clubs and groups a lot more. And it might be quite tricky to explain this without having lived there, being a part of it yourself.
Yeah.
But it's certainly something that people get involved in sports quite a lot and make bonds through that. But I guess through that societal aspect, they will then have ideas and be sharing ideas that is obviously conducive to producing these
it's interesting as well because none of those coaches are in any way tactically similar, I would say.
No.
So it's clearly the coaching aspect that is
Yeah.
what motivates them rather than the intellectual aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess for me, it's quite nice. Like, there's no reason I would have had to watch Rayo Vallecano so much, or even Bournemouth for that matter.
Sure.
So the opportunity of, I don't know, watching a random Bundesliga team or going back to La Liga or something would be quite fun.
I was gonna say, John, I mean, you'd be a lot more familiar than me in this side of things, but Iraola's tactically wise, it seems like his team's best performances come whenever they're against a sort of bigger teams in a way, or teams who are expected to win and maybe leave a little bit more space or have a bit more, have a bit more sense of attack about them. Would that be a concern that, he draws a lot of games at Bournemouth, he drew quite a lot of games at Rayo, which that's all well and good, but if you were to put that on a much bigger platform, there might be more pressure to change a bit.
Yeah, and I think that's why I would quite like him to go to maybe a mid-tier team next. Maybe like a team towards the top of the Bundesliga would be nice because it would suit his tactical approach. But also, if relatively speaking, they can spend more money relative to the league than Bournemouth can in the Premier League, and then he'll have the opportunity to coach, the talent advantage and maybe develop some more in possession ideas. That said, I do think that he has developed that aspect over the course of his time at Bournemouth, and I think this Bournemouth team is very, very good on the ball now as well, in a more controlled way than they used to be. It used to be the case that they were very happy, like going direct and creating the chaos that then they were then set up to sort of excel within. Whereas now, I think you're not seeing them go direct quite so much. They've got really. I mean, against Arsenal, they played Alex Scott and Ryan Christie in the middle, both very sort of technical ball players. And yeah, so I think for me, I would quite like him. Everyone is talking like, can he go to the real elite level?
Yeah.
I think...
Well, because teams available,
sure,
potentially Man United, with maybe Liverpool might change up their coach. Who knows? I mean, there's also like we've talked about Eddie Howe's position at Newcastle a bit. I'm not saying Newcastle are necessarily in that elite, but certainly a little closer to it than Bournemouth are. What other big teams are available that might be changing their manager in the summer?
Potentially Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think the other thing that makes me maybe a bit more positive about him being able to scale up to a bigger side is that when you hear him talking about his tactics, he very much contextualizes them by talking about what other teams are trying to do with the ball. So a recognition that a lot of elite sides in particular are trying to control possession of the ball through the use of positional ideas or pattern play. And a big part of his approach is to try and destabilize that. So I think there's a real understanding there of like what it is that makes these big teams tick, and he's going to try and destabilize that. Now, it's obviously not a one-to-one correlation that recognizing what a team is doing against you is therefore a sign that he could go on and do it himself. But
Yeah.
I do get the impression that this isn't just a sort of, I have this one size fits all approach, which, I just throw on the pitch and it works. So we keep doing it and we coach the players in that. It does seem to be a little bit more self-aware about what the conditions of the tactical conditions on the field are.
Because that could be a criticism, right? As well, you talked about him before as a sort of original person and a tactical innovator. It's obviously a lot easier to innovate for like problems within a system than it is to innovate away from the system. And in the case of Andoni Iraola and Bournemouth, most of what I've heard you talk about has been it's reactive problem solving with a smaller team, often playing in leagues where they're against bigger teams. They don't necessarily have the same resources. Yeah. So it's the problems you're solving for are very present and very there. That is different when you're at a bigger team, right? You have more opportunity, you have more options in terms of what you do. It's less straightforward. Or it's broader, the problem spectrum.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's completely correct. But I guess the issue that he will face, and this is something Colin alluded to before, there's lots of games where Bournemouth have dominated a game, but they've not broken down a low block. In part, that's because his teams at Bournemouth, they've always seemed to be really poor when it comes to finishing. Yeah. So it's hard to know how that would come out in the wash. But the expectation, I think, would be if he was at a better team, then he would be facing those low blocks more often. Yeah. And the question would be like, could he find solutions for that approach? So yeah, there's definitely questions that and that's for me why and again, I'm being purely selfish here, but I'm kind of quite invested in his career. I'd quite like him to take a mid-tier step and then really try and go for one of the big clubs.
So what would that look like? Like pick a club.
Well, I mean,
you have to pick one, but what's a mid-tier step here?
The classic example would be he could do like a Jurgen Klopp, right? Where Jurgen Klopp goes through Mainz, goes to then Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
And
so Spurs.
I mean, I think Borussia Dortmund would be a great stepping stone club, right? And to develop some of those, have better quality of player available to you, develop those ideas, and then maybe go to one of the bigger European sides and see where you can go. Again, the reason why Jurgen Klopp is in my mind one of the top 5 managers of all time is because he had the ability, as you said before, to evolve across paradigms rather than remaining in the same paradigm.
Yeah.
And so I think a club like Dortmund, I think, would be a perfect sort of. You're starting to shift the paradigm towards.
Is there equivalent level in the Premier League? Is it Newcastle? I know that I don't mean that as an offensive comment in either direction. I just mean I'm trying to think like. If it's not the very, very top level crust and Spurs,
I think
have just signed De Zerbi, for example.
I think it would be like it would be a Newcastle, it would be a Spurs, it would be a Villa. Yeah, it would be one of those three sides. Part of the problem with those teams, I guess, is the financial restrictions on the sort of Premier League middle class.
And one of them's already got a Basque manager, so they're sort of set, right?
Yeah, but Newcastle, I guess, would be an obvious fit because they're already playing kind of direct football.
Yeah,
and I think it would be interesting to see how Iraola ported across.
He'd look great in black and white, that guy.
One of the things about Iraola that kind of really fascinates me is that he doesn't have any of his coaches. Like his conditioning coach came with him from Rio, but all the rest of Bournemouth staff.
Inigo Perez, who's being linked with Bournemouth, was intended to come across with him, but didn't pass the GBE regs for whatever reason, and in the end went back to Rayo Vallecano. So Bournemouth are being linked because that's an obvious kind of succession approach. Yeah. But yeah, he literally brought his. He brought his fitness coach with him, and then the rest of the coaching staff has been made up of mainly like ex-Bournemouth players. So Tommy Elphick, Sean Cooper.
Kaya sneezed aggressively in response to Tommy Elphick.
I nearly said Trevor Francis, Simon Francis. So he's basically just come in, taken on board a lot of sort of Bournemouth coaching staff, and they've had success there as well, which I think is quite, again, I think indicative of the kind of quality of human he is, that he can have that effect on whoever he brings with him.
Can you tell that John likes Andoni Iraola? Can you tell?
Oh, I didn't notice.
I'm going to show you my Andoni Iraola tattoo.
All right, well, we will watch his career with great intrigue and interest, of course. I'm very curious to know where he's going to go. And I like that this is a kind of continuation of a trend that I guess it was started by, what's the name of the Crystal Palace manager?
Glasner.
By Oliver Glasner, of kind of announcing early in the season, like announcing your candidacy for something, right? That's what's happening. Managers across football are saying like, yes, I will be available in the summer, just to put teams on notice, perhaps. Who knows? Who knows what's
Do you think the pressure on Marco Silva now at Fulham to do exactly the same is going to ramp up?
What about the pressure on me? Maybe I'll do it. I may not be here in the summer. Yeah,
Bournemouth's available now.
Yeah,
don't tell them you're going to unfollow them on Twitter, John.
I might go to the Marc Goldbridge podcast.
Well, what a fantastic segue, because the final thing we're going to talk about on today's episode is the top story on, at least on my Athletic, because of course it's it's specific, it's custom to each person, isn't it? I don't know if people know that about the Athletic, that it's based on your interests, based on what you follow. So I'm never sure if what's at the top of mine is at the top of yours.
Mine is just Andoni Iraola
stories. I'm sure it is. Now, anyway, this is it's kind of huge news in the media scene, but that's why it's a little like introspective. So we left it to the end of the show. But here's a headline: Gary Neville's The Overlap buys Marc Goldbridge's YouTube channels, which was big. It was big news yesterday, as I say. I've lost the page, so let me just get it back up. Hold on.
This is the only story that Joe is actually interested in the podcast today, by the way.
I watched all of Liverpool PSG, and we didn't even talk about it. That's how committed I am to this show. Do you know what? I got home after Monday night. I stayed in the north so I could film something with David Ornstein, and I stayed in a hotel, which was fine, but I was alone. I couldn't sleep. I woke up at 4 a.m. I walked up to a man's house to film a thing, and I got home. And I saw my wife there, and she was there. She was radiant in her glory, Mrs. Devine. That's not her name, and because she refused to take my name, I don't know why. Feminism or something. I fully support it. And anyway, there was Mrs. Devine, radiant in her glory. She looked at me. She said, "Oh, should we hang out on the couch and just watch something?" I was like, "Oh, I can think of nothing better." Oh wait. It's 8 o'clock. I've got to watch Liverpool PSG so that I can talk about it on the Tifo football podcast, huh? And there went not even a touch. And I come in here, I get shit from you today. Potty mouth Mackenzie.
What was your takeaway from the Liverpool PSG game?
Anyway, Gary Neville's The Overlap buys Marc Goldbridge's YouTube channels. Here's the article by Mark Critchley and Sebastian Stafford-Bloor. I forgot to tease him about that. I'll tease him about that later. Gary Neville's media company, The Overlap, has acquired the YouTube channels of online personality Marc Goldbridge. The former Manchester United defender struck a deal worth an undisclosed 7-figure sum.
That makes it sound like Marc Goldbridge is a former Premier League.
It did, didn't it? Yeah. I think we should critique Seb's writing in other ways.
It was like I don't remember him playing football.
Anyway, his channels, the United Stand and That's Football, have lots of 2.26 million subscribers and 1.46 million subscribers. Oh, there's a lot of different subscribers. Anyway, I thought this was interesting because everybody was talking about it yesterday. It was big news. I was with a footballer yesterday. I can't talk about it because we haven't published the things yet. But I was with he was an ex-footballer. And I just read this news on my phone, and I said to him and David Ornstein, I said, "Have you heard of Marc Goldbridge?" And he said no, which made me think, okay, so it isn't everyone in football that is constantly watching. However, the thing I think about this situation generally, as it relates to what I've just said, this is a strange way of saying it, isn't it? But my point is, I think the general reaction to this news was sort of a little bit snobbish, perhaps, maybe. I don't know. Online, it seemed to be either fans of Marc Goldbridge and the YouTube channels who think that the content will get worse now, or people who maybe don't understand the purpose or the intricacies of this thing. But I think the point I'm trying to make is I think we're too snobbish about it. Like loads and loads of people watch Marc Goldbridge and watch those YouTube channels, and crucially, loads of footballers do. This person I was with yesterday didn't know, but he's a retired ex-pro. He's clearly not part of his scene, but there's no question about it that this thing is very, very influential. And so I don't really understand why, other than not enjoying it aesthetically or as tonally as something, which is completely understandable. I don't watch it, for example. I've seen some clips from it, but I don't understand why people are so snobbish about it.
Yeah, I wonder if the said footballer is not, like you say, not of the demographic of the audience they're probably targeting with this move. And there was similar stuff about earlier in the season when Marc Goldbridge's channel started showing Bundesliga matches. And
yes.
I think there was an article on The Athletic earlier this year. I was going to say this season, but it's also this year. That basically spoke about how the audience for the Bundesliga has increased, and I think over half of the audience who are watching Bundesliga on YouTube are between 13 and 34.
Right.
So I guess that's what they're going for. I mean, there are like you. I'm not someone who watches that, but I think I can see why
People do.
It makes sense to me. It's fair enough. Yeah.
I think isn't the reason why people are snobbish, and there's always going to be high, low culture snobbery about everything, right? And often that is tied with like video versus like older forms of journalism. But in this instance, is it not the case that Marc Goldbridge feels quite confected, and in that sense, it's a guy from Nottingham, right, who changed his name, and his whole channel is based around like fume.
Right.
The concept of like him watching the game and people, in the same way that like Arsenal
I don't
fan
think
TV,
it all. I don't want to sit here and defend everything Marc Goldbridge has ever done, but I don't think it is all based on fume. I think like
the reason it got as big as it did is
because of fume.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
But
I'm not saying
is
that's
that not
the case,
is that not the thing that hangs, that the snobbery hangs off, that people are like, this is a guy who's doing a very sort of thinly veiled attempt to generate viral moments,
sure,
build an audience, and and that's the reality of the world we live in now, is like a short video content world, and we do that, right? But
he live streams though.
Again, it's a lot of this comes down to like what the algorithm dictates is.
Sure.
And so I think there's maybe in the back of people's mind, it's like, oh, well, this is just all a miserable kind of factory setting. You go through and you here's what you tick off to hit virality.
Sure.
How much of that is actually him? How much of it is real? Are we not just being a bit duped? I would imagine that's where a lot of the snobbery comes from as well.
Yeah, I think there's two aspects to this, and John's mentioned one of them is the sort of authenticity. Like it's kind of like, how much does he care about Manchester United, or how much does he care about making money off basing his channel off Manchester United's fans, essentially, because that's the biggest market. Yeah, I guess the other thing is as well,
John's always criticizing me for that.
Well, I don't even like Andoni Iraola. It's just a bit, it's the only way I can get virality,
But I think, I mean, and look, we all work in a media environment, so maybe this doesn't strike a chord with a lot of people listening, but the sort of editorial standards that we would have are there, and they exist, and I don't know if that's him.
Oh, sure. Marc Goldbridge does not play to the same editorial standards as the Athletic. I'm not trying to claim he does. Incidentally,
I think where that comes in is then whenever there is, say, criticism of a player, that becomes a personal campaign, which people have alleged that happens. Now, I don't watch Marc Goldbridge's channel, so I don't really know the extent of how.
It's amazing that none of us watch Marc Goldbridge's channels, and yet we all know who he is and intricately about his,
I mean, I've just seen clips, right?
Same.
Where it's like, bloody hell, that's all. That's
that kind
in my head.
But that kind of means we have seen. We do watch Marc Goldbridge's channels because we've seen the clips, right?
But I remember the incident last year when it was Garnacho had scored like a really good goal, and this wasn't directly linked to Marc Goldbridge, but it's linked to this sort of culture that is around a club like Manchester United and other big clubs too, where he scores this great goal and he doesn't celebrate. And Bruno Fernandes goes over to him, and like, "What are you doing? Celebrate!" And then he's like, "I'm just like, somebody had said something to me, like something kind of very not a nice thing," and it really impacted him to the point where he's just like, "I don't care." And now, obviously, he was a young player, still young, developing, going through a lot of changes.
Sure.
And it's difficult for players, like people don't realize that people are real people and feelings and a lot of things affect them. And I think it's an environment which normalizes abuse, I think.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like, look, these people aren't doing their jobs properly, and this I'm sort of ranting about it, and you can rant about it too, and this is all what we're about. I kind of am very uncomfortable with that element. I'm not saying that's the only strand, but I think that is one thing.
Does Roy Keane and Gary Neville not do that? Like, they know these players. I feel like I'm in a situation where I'm like defending Marc Goldbridge against everything, which is not what I wanted to do at the beginning of this. But like what you just described, I'm thinking about it like Marc Goldbridge would think about it now. If I heard you say that, I think, well, but that's what all of the biggest pundits do. And like, you mentioned Fume before. Roy Keane is where he is because of Fume.
But
right?
again, it comes down to the authenticity thing, right? Where
we assume it's authentic with Roy Keane.
Yeah, with Roy Keane and Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher.
Isn't the whole point with Roy Keane that it's tongue in cheek?
Maybe.
The tongue in cheek thing is authentic, but like he clearly says stuff like for effect, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and we all do, right? Like all of us are wearing a mask. So like
Sure.
this is us all pointing back at ourselves with, oh no.
For listeners,
That's not really who Kaya is,
Kaya's
you know?
throwing up the Jokeres Bane mask. There it is.
But I guess that's the difficulty, right? Is because you always do portray yourself as in a certain way when you're in the line of the camera or when you're behind a microphone, and you've got to get the balance right between like how much of yourself you give and how much of yourself you use as a means of generating whatever, right? And I guess for me, like again, I'm with you. I agree with you. It's sort of like Marc Goldbridge is out there and he's doing his thing, and people listen and they watch, and that's why he exists, because that's what people want. We could have a conversation.
He exists because people are out there and listen to what.
Yeah, but that's the reality, right?
Of course.
There's obviously
it's just funny when you say it like that.
there's obviously a more complex conversation to be had about the any media outlet's responsibility to building the kind of audience that they think should exist,
and ethical journalism, which, just to be clear, I'm not talking about here. I'm talking about like entertainment and
football
adjacent.
I totally
content,
agree with you,
right?
because like that, we inhabit that world. We are doing that. We're trying to do it from a different direction. We don't hit the same sort of level of virality that he's hitting regularly, but we're still trying to do the same job.
Sometimes when I say pick a country, people watch it. The last thing I would say is that the other kind of confused response to this to this story was like that it doesn't, people don't understand why it makes sense from a media perspective. But you mentioned already, or somebody did, that one of Marc Goldbridge's channels won the right. I'm now reading from the Athletic. Won the live broadcasting rights to stream Bundesliga games, which is the first deal of its kind between a major European football league and a UK-based YouTube content creator. And I think that the overlap did something similar.
They had the same rights. I think they were in the same rights package.
They were in the same rights package, right? So there's already clearly like some kind of alignment there. The reason I'm interested in this from more of a kind of, this is where it does become a little bit more introspective and meta, is just from like a media perspective, like where the people who've sanctioned the money for this deal think that football content online is going, because it's also what we do for a living. And I think we have ideas about where we think it's going, and we don't operate in exactly the same space as the overlap, or exactly the same spaces as Marc Goldbridge, for example, but like some of the same spaces. So I'm curious, like where they think the direction is headed in, because I can tell you that the people that like decided to spend the money, like they're not stupid people. Like they've done it. They will have done it with an advertising business built around it anyway, from a starting point, right? So like one would hope that this. From their perspective, one would hope that this would be successful from a commercial perspective. I'm sure that it will be, but also with an idea of like where internet culture is going, what viewers online are indicating that they want. And unlike in a time of TV, where, if you don't know, by the way, TV ratings are like,
cratering,
finger in the air, right? Like, like it's much more, a little more complicated. The internet pretty clearly in most cases tells you whether people like something or not. And so it's indisputable that people like the overlap, people like Marc Goldbridge, enough people do to make this. So I don't know, I think like I was a bit surprised by what seemed to be a somewhat negative reaction to it. Mainly I don't care, but as a secondary, I was provoked into, it went like this. I read that, I went, oh right. And then I flipped to the comments and they went, hang on a second, why are people so confused about this?
I'll also add that this week, I think Adam Crafton did an interview with Aurelio De Laurentiis suggesting that the way to attract younger audiences was by reducing football halves to 25 minutes.
Yeah.
I think
Arsenal have already done that, right?
Well, very good. Very good. I mean, that's just, I can't say anything serious like that.
The end.
I can't say anything serious.
Go on.
No, I think there's a much better way of attracting younger audiences than by reducing the time against. But none of it matters anymore. Thanks, Joe.
I've said this before, and I don't mind being the hated or wrong person here, but like I don't think reducing the length of a football game is the worst idea.
Whoa!
Honestly,
I really didn't think that was where you were going.
No, yeah, that's why I phrased it that way, for like the extra bombshell. I've been watching Marc Goldbridge. I'm no, I don't think it's the worst idea. I don't get why everyone's so like Why is it 90 minutes? Because it is. Why are there 11 players? Because there just were when we started 120 years ago. There's no reason.
But I don't think it's broke. So why do you need to fix it?
It's too
not
long
too
for
long.
me to have to. PSG was so long.
We're on a long form podcast
Liverpool
right now.
PSG was so long last night. It was. If it's 20 minutes shorter, like who cares? Seriously, does anyone care about that?
Yes.
Who actually? But for what reason? What do you think you're going to lose?
20 minutes of football?
Yeah, add it to your life. Go out, do something else.
No.
No?
I'm quite happy not having that.
I'm not saying you have to, but like I think the flack that people take. I remember when what was the name of the Real Madrid president?
Florentino Perez.
When Florentino Perez was the last old man to say something similar to this, a few years ago, and he got so much flack for it.
Yeah.
And I just don't get.
Well, you know
why.
what? So the reason they're saying this, in my opinion, is because the whole argument that young people have shorter attention spans, they can't focus on a game of football for 90 minutes.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that's true.
But forget about that being the reason why. Another positive for this would be that there's no way that they're going to reduce the number of games that players play because of the money involved. Right? They just won't do it. So why don't they reduce the time of the games, and therefore we won't have so many injuries, and we won't have players whose careers run 5 years shorter than they previously would have done because they're so overplayed that their bodies get destroyed. What would be so bad about losing 20 minutes of a game?
I think they just end up creating more shorter games, wouldn't they?
I mean,
that's how it would go.
Maybe,
you
but
just
like
end up in the same space as you were
if you
before.
changed it from 90 minutes to 70, like rugby's 80 minutes long. And has a slightly different stopwatch.
Well, yeah, it's normally longer, isn't it? It's a bit like basketball or American sport.
But honestly, what difference is it if it's 70 minutes? Like, really, I'm serious. Like, can someone tell me what the difference would be if a game of football was 70 minutes long instead of 90 minutes? Other than it's 20 minutes shorter, what would it be?
This is actually a good point. What you could do, and it's a bit difficult, but you could make it like matches are 60 minutes, but you have the stoppages, so it's like it encourages you to be in play because you can't just take 5 or 6 minutes off a match by time wasting. You have to actually have it in play. Stuff like that would actually be quite beneficial.
What they would do is obviously take the 20 minutes off the end, add it to half time, and make it all advertising space. So it'd still be just as long. It's just
I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. But if they kept 15-minute half time, and I don't know that they would. Like I'm sure that the impact on the players of having 35 minutes off in the middle of the game is probably not great. Like they'll have to just be warming up the whole time. Yeah. I don't think they necessarily. Anyway, it's maybe a topic for another day because I can tell that Steve's getting antsy in the production of the tiny.
Because you're threatening the game he loves so well.
But look, the only reason I'm saying that is because I understand it's a knee-jerk reaction from people. But if one person can tell me, I'm open to being wrong. But if someone in the comments can explain to me why 70 minutes would be so much worse than 90. I'm open to hearing it.
I think you're correct. Like nothing would.
That's the end of the show. Thanks so much, everybody.
Nothing would change, right?
Nothing would change.
But I guess I suppose the issue I have is that the people who don't like football at 90 minutes wouldn't like football at 70 minutes, and so unless you really reduce the game down to like a ridiculous short time, and then it was just kind of like, well, who's this even for anymore? All it would do is it would make football for people who like it worse. Generally, and I think that it wouldn't actually attract a huge amount of people in who don't like it already, right? So, unless you significantly shorten the game, in which case it would probably become almost like a different sport.
I think that when you go further than 20 minutes shaved off, then it's no longer arbitrary. And I would, just to be completely clear, what I'm saying is not based on this notion that young people don't have attention span. I think that's total bullshit anyway. Or at least it's bullshit as it relates to a reason for this being the case. But I do think it's a compelling argument for players' health and physicality, and for maybe for the football to be better. Although, if footballers could do absolutely everything that they wanted to, like press maniacally for 70 minutes because they knew it was only a 70-minute game, maybe it would become the most boring game possible. There could be a tactical argument against it. Right? Yeah. Okay, well, it's the end of the show, Steve, is it?
Yes, please.
Long one for you. Big edit for Steve overnight. There he goes. Colin MIllar, thank you.
Thank you.
Jon Mackenzie.
And cheers.
Kaya.
Nice one, thank you.
And Steve.
Yeah, thanks very much, Joe. Yeah.
There we go. We'll be back on Friday.
Friday, Ring for Analysis.
We'll be back tomorrow with a Ring for Analysis. Until then, goodbye.